Welcome, all you nice people, for taking the time today to sit in on this Facebook Live. Looks like people are joining throughout this. That's awesome. I'm really glad to see that. I want to thank everybody who came out and supported us this week for our 7th anniversary, and I want to thank you for every year before that. Much of you who are on this live and people who are going to watch this later on have been supporting us for the last 8 years since we announced we were going to build 10K Brewing in Anoka. And I am extraordinarily appreciative for that because we've been a profitable business since day one. We've been able to give back in the community in some ways, and not every business can say that. We've made it through a pandemic, and a lot of that is due to you coming out and supporting us. I mean, all of it's due to you coming out and supporting us. If we had 1 week where you weren't here for us, that's the week when we're not profitable. And we've never had that, and I'm really appreciative for that. I have some really exciting news to share with you today. It might not be exactly the news that you're hoping for, but first I want to tell a story about how we got here. Some of you have heard this story before, but I want to clarify it, and just kind of talk about how I got to making the decision that I did. I know some of you were hoping for a really quick, figure out what the exciting news is, but I'm a little long-winded sometimes, so I'll try to go through this quick. But back in 2016, after we'd been open and operating for a year or two, I had realized the success of 10K Brewing. And since the day that I opened 10K, I knew that I wanted to see 10K's beer on shelves in liquor stores. So that's kind of the plan that I started to put together, and I wanted a plan in place by our 5th anniversary with execution by our 10th anniversary, and we just celebrated our 7th. I met with the community development director for the city of Anoka back in 2016, inquiring about the lot directly next to the parking ramp. So this isn't the restaurant pad, this is the vacant lot next to the parking ramp and the Anoka Historical Society. And as I was in those discussions with the community development director, they actually said, hey, we'd really like to see you by this lot by the river, the restaurant pad. And I said, all right, I drew up some plans like overnight and put together just one-page proposal of what we could do there, and the city loved the idea. It was exactly what they were looking for. And what I had told them is I said, it's probably going to take a couple of years, but if the lot's still available at that time, I'll make an offer on it. And if you wonder why I'm looking off screen here, I have this all written out so I don't get off track too much. So in the meantime, actually, in those 2 years, I actually explored brewing 10K's beer off-site. So we would rent a facility, and then we'd have our brew house in there, and then we distribute from that facility. I went so far as actually getting a loan for us to be able to build this location. The problem with that was 10K has been profitable since day one. If we got into the distribution game, it'd be a minimum of 2 years before that distribution model would start to see profit, and that was really hard for me to do. You see, distribution is a very high volume, low margin game. We can sell a keg for $700-800 in our tap room. We can sell it to a liquor store, sell it to a bar for $160 tops. And the margins are incredibly low, so you have to run a very efficient operation to be able to do that, and that's difficult for breweries to do, and a lot of breweries struggle doing that. So we actually looked at partnering with another Minnesota brewery that would brew our beer and distribute it for us. It was an amazing opportunity, and it came together in February of 2020. So a lot of you can probably guess what happened next there. So the pandemic taught me something really important. We pivoted to online sales overnight and did just as well in 2020 as we did in 2019. What I saw was that people within 5 miles, our regular customers, came out to support us greatly, and they tipped our bartenders nicely. I knew 10K Brewing's next step was to become a hyper-local destination brew pub, something that was the center of the community, something that supports the community, community-centric, community-orientated. That's what I really wanted to build. And I always knew that Anoka was the home for 10K, so that's where I wanted to do it. I approached the City of Anoka's community development director in the second half of 2021, and I asked if there was any interest on the restaurant pad. He said no, but he did send me a proposal from right before the pandemic that actually another brewery wanted to go into that location. So he actually exchanged that information with me, and I declared that we were interested. We were going to make a proposal to the city in early 2022. I let them know that I was retaining an architect, and I was going to acquire SBA funding and get this plan put together for the city. I had also asked on behalf of my architect for curves for the parking lot, because the city actually paved that parking lot back in 2016, so I was hoping that they'd have the curves for that location. And the community development director actually directed me to engineering at that time. I was never asked to go before the city council, and I was never asked to submit a letter of intent. In January of 2022, I met with Jeff Lee, and a lot of you might have heard that name. He actually ran for city council this year. He just ran for city council, and I met him because he's actually on the Economic Development Commission. And he approached me about being on that commission myself. Unfortunately, I was committed to the city of Columbia Heights. I actually just took a job there to bring myself off of payroll at 10K so we could better position 10K for its expansion. But we actually kind of went on and talked about our vision for Anoka, especially downtown Anoka, which aligned really nicely. I shared with him plans about the restaurant pad, and he said, well, hey, actually, I'm a banker over at First Bank and Trust. And he offered his services. I actually turned it down because we already had a SBA bank that we worked with, and I kind of mentioned that earlier, that we had gotten a loan in the past. But I ended up calling him back because I thought, well, why not work with a bank who the banker lives in this town, knows exactly what this town needs and wants, and is willing to engage in that community. Like, it made sense. So Jeff Lee was actually a quintessential player in getting 10K fully approved for a $3.1 million SBA loan for this location. He was a very important role in our expansion and has been very supportive of us. By the end of January, Jeff actually congratulated me on presenting my offer to the city, and I said, well, I haven't presented my offer to the city. We found out that another restaurant with locations in 4 states had actually presented to the city. They were actually directed to go directly to the council, and they were directed to give a letter of intent, for which we were not. When I asked the community development director why I was not informed about this after, he said that people inquire on the land every day, and it made me feel like I wasn't taken very seriously for what I was trying to do there. And I'd retained an architect and I paid an architect to do all these designs and everything. So I went through the correct process and presented to community development in the beginning of March. And at the end of March, I was put in front of the city council. I had a full executive summary, business plan, full concept put together. You've seen a lot of the pictures of that online at our 10K DTA and on our Facebook. A concept, very professional concept that was put together by Studio M Architects. They did a really good job at coming up with this, and they really looked at how could we build a sense of place in Anoka, not just build a building, but how can we mesh with the community. It was a really amazing job that they did with that. And I had complete plan covering how we'd execute on food, drinks, beer, and entertainment. The competing restaurant at the time actually only had an idea of putting a location downtown. They didn't really have anything beyond that. But their developer was present at the meeting where I presented, and they listened to my ideas, saw how well prepared I was, and 2 weeks later they had their presentation, which incorporated some of the ideas that I put in there. Which is okay. I'm happy if somebody does that. I would like credit if you're going to do that, especially when it's against me. I want to be really clear about the decision that I made with putting together the 10K DTA website. The purpose of that website was to engage the public. The city council made a decision to go with an outside restaurant in a closed session. Instead, what they should have done is said, hey, we have 2 really great offers here. We have one by a local business, and we have one by a restaurant who has a long history in the restaurant industry. So let's take both of these businesses, let's have them put together formal offers, and let's bring those offers to a first reading at a public council meeting. That's the process that should have happened. Instead, the decision was made to go with the other restaurant in a closed session. So the 10K DTA website engaged you, the community, and you came out and said, hey, wait a second, we would really support 10K and we really want to hear more about this. A lot of people just wanted more information, which is great. And they engaged their council members, and some of the council members did respond, but other council members did not listen to the community. That's all we're trying to do with that website, is to engage our community and show the council that the community does support us. And some people probably did reach out for the other restaurant, and that's great too. If the community came out and said that the other restaurant was the direction for Anoka, I would have 100% supported that. But I just don't think that we were given the opportunity. It was just, from the beginning, it was the other restaurant. So through this whole process, what I've realized is that, and this is hard for me to say, is that Anoka represents a long-term risk for small businesses. I don't want to get into the details, the specifics here, because I don't want to burn any bridges with Anoka, because this is still a community that I love and support, and then I'm hopefully here for the long haul. But when council members, swear at business owners and berate a citizen, that's really hard for me to take and to see and to trust a business expansion in that town. So I'm not here to shun the city of Anoka. I love the city. Again, I'm here to be a part of the solution, and I will be a part of the solution. In 2 years, if I'm still a resident of Anoka, I will run for council and I will stand up for Anoka businesses. I will make sure that businesses are respected, celebrated, and encouraged, and businesses engage in our community. I'll have the mayor put together a proclamation to support Anoka businesses. A partnership between businesses and Anoka PD, especially with the bars, so that we can have regular documented meetings and engagement, so we can make everybody's experience downtown safer, and people really view Anoka as the place that they want to go, as a destination that they want to be at. I'll establish a partnership between, so doing a yearly small, medium, and large business award for outstanding community engagement. So actually awarding businesses who engage with the community, put on community events, do philanthropy, donate to local organizations. There's a lot of businesses that do great things in this town that I think we should celebrate. And it's a very easy thing that doesn't really cost any money for the city to do. It just really hey, we acknowledge our local businesses. Put together a business retention and expansion program with regular updates from the community development director. So engaging the community development director and saying, who is interested in locating in our town? And yeah, a lot of people might just call and say, hey, is this land available? Can I locate there? We want to hear about that, especially if it's a local business. I mean, could you imagine if like Truffles and Torts wanted to build a location on 7th Avenue at the vacant lot there, put together this big, beautiful bakery? Like, don't we want to engage Truffle and Torts and say, what can we do for you? How can we make you successful? And that's just an example. They're not actually doing that, but maybe they are, I don't know. But we should really be engaging with outside businesses and our own businesses. It's a very easy thing to do, and make sure that it's a part of every council meeting where we're hearing about what's happening with the business community, and engaging our Economic Development Commission that we already have in place, but we're not really fully utilizing. And then lastly, getting better engagement from the city manager. So the city manager should really be putting together a report for the council, so the council can hear about what's happening in the community, and the council should be asking those questions, saying, hey, why aren't businesses attracted to Anoka? Why aren't our local businesses expanding? What can we do to support them better? So getting that engagement going with our city manager. So I will do that in 2 years if I'm still a resident here, and I'll make sure that businesses are well respected here in Anoka. That concludes 10K's prospect for the restaurant pad here in Anoka. We do still have an offer in at the lot. As part of the October 17th council meeting, the city is actually going out to get more offers for that location. Our offer was declined. I put in the exact same offer. I modified it a little bit to put some restrictions on it for a few reasons, but our offer's in there, and maybe something will become of it, but we've been spinning our wheels for a while here, and it's time for us to move forward. So 10K Brewing was actually approached by 5 other Minnesota cities, welcoming us to their town. One city in particular, the mayor reached out to me, and we had an hour-long conversation. And to put that in perspective, I had about a 5-minute conversation with our mayor over 10K. I had an hour long, and I had to cut that mayor off because I had something that I had to be to. So the mayor for this town admitted that their city has been kind of a development free-for-all for some time. But their new council has listened to their residents, and the residents have asked for infrastructure improvements and their very own downtown. Family-friendly during the day, but booming entertainment industry at night. A place where it would be the destination in the northern suburbs. A place that would focus on unique dining, entertainment experiences, and not chain restaurants. The mayor, city council member, and community development director visited my brewery in my town. So they came to me and actually met with me at my brewery and sat down and had a beer with me. That's amazing. I mean, that says worlds about what they're trying to do and how committed they are to improving their town. They didn't wait for my phone call. They came to me. They actually took me on a tour of their town, drove me around and showed me all their development sites and shared with me their plans. And they have some very, very ambitious plans, not just dreams, plans that are actually being executed as we speak. So after to kind of explain how I got to this point is after the October 17th council meeting, I realized that Anoka is my home. Anoka's 10K's home, and I've always been kind of shrouded for this love. I never really thought of putting 10K at any other location but Anoka. But after that council meeting, I stepped back and I said, all right, why don't I take out my love for Anoka and just look at this purely as a business decision, and how does this look as a business decision? So here's what it looks like from a business perspective. The town in question receives 5 million visitors each year with $86 million in hospitality economic impact. The city is 4 times larger than Anoka with a population target of 6 times Anoka, which means that it's a developing town. Average household income is higher, average disposable income is higher. The hospitality gap is the hospitality gap is low, which means there's low market saturation. The city is outright very supportive of businesses. You can see it. When a city puts this much effort into my little brewery, I'm a very just like small piece of their plan. But when they put this much effort into me, that shows that they really respect small businesses and they know that that's a gap in their community and they're trying to close that gap. The city has TIF, which TIF means that essentially the city is willing to, and this is a very broad aspect of what it is, but the city is willing to give you the land if you're willing to execute on what they need in their community. So if you're willing to fill a gap in their community, they can actually be able to give you that land. That's already put together, that's built into this. So there's no like begging the city or trying to justify what you're trying to do there. This is something they've already built into their city as an architecture. They also have a sewer access forgiveness program for new businesses. It's trying to attract new businesses to their town. So what sewer access is it's a fee that you have to pay to be able to connect to the Met Council sewer system. And for a new restaurant or brew pub, it's about $80,000 to $100,000. And they're willing to forgive that if you can bring something to their community and be there and established for 5 years. So if you can show that you're a part of that community, they're willing to help you out with that. It's a great program that's already in place. The city actually already contains a brewery that we get along really well with, and we would complement each other's work. So, from a business decision, it looks really good. The city actually has chosen a master developer with a very really aggressive schedule to have shovels in the ground next year. I met with the developer last week. Our views align perfectly. They don't want to simply build it and they will come. They want to build a cohesive experience with food, drinks, entertainment, parking, hotels, green space, an outdoor amphitheater. I think we could have Jam by the Dam in an amphitheater. It's a very well thought out project, and I was asked for my input and my involvement, which is huge. Now you're probably really curious about what city this is. And unfortunately, I'm not ready to share that city just yet. The deal is still not in place. There's still risks involved. We have to reapply for our SBA loan for the new location, and we have to work out a partnership with the city and with the developer. But why am I sharing this then if I can't say the city yet? Well, you as our customer are the ones who have made us successful. I was very clear about that at the beginning of this live. I want you along for the journey and the support. Regardless if I succeed or fail, if 10K succeeds or fails in securing this new location, I want you to be in with us together. And we'll keep moving forward, and if this doesn't work, we'll find something else. But this is what has my focus right now, and I'm looking for your support to do it. And I hope that in a few months, I can make a big announcement on what city it is. Now, a lot of you can probably take a guess. I provided a lot of details in this. Feel free to take guesses. I won't answer them, the staff won't answer them for the time being, but we're very excited about this prospect. It really moves 10K forward. Now, you're also probably curious what happens to Anoka, okay? Although there's risk factors at our current location, they would actually be mitigated by having a second location. Now our current location is very, it's very profitable. It has a great customer base. So in my perspective, my goal is to keep our current location in downtown Anoka and improve upon it. I love the idea of potentially turning our existing location into a sour brewery. So we'd still have our normal rotation of beers, but since we wouldn't brew the beer at this location, we could actually truck the wort, so the unfermented beer from the other location, fill our fermenters with it, and then we can inoculate them with bacteria, and we could brew a whole gambit of sour beers, which would be very unique to this location. And it would give Anoka even a more unique appeal. Like I said, I am dedicated to Anoka and changing things and improving the business environment here. So I would like to see 10K stay in downtown Anoka and have two great businesses. Have a business in another city that is a entertainment destination, has food, has liquor, has a larger brewing operation, rooftop patio, and then have our Anoka location, which is the very classic foundation of where we started. It's a location that my dad helped build, and then it has this unique appeal with the sour brewery. So. This is, of course, dependent on our lease. Our lease is going to be up in a couple of years. However, our landlord is Jeff Weaver. A lot of people know that. He's always been supportive of 10K since day one. He's provided us with so many opportunities. When we first opened here, he provided us with quite a bit of free rent in order to be able to get this location open, including the Empire Room. He did like the floor and electrical and put a lot of time and effort into this space as well. So he's very supportive of us, and I still remember the day that we came into Jeff Weaver's space, and we were declined by a lot of other locations in downtown Anoka to rent, and Jeff sat in the window of our tap room where the bands play. He sat on that bench there, and he said, I know this is going to be a huge risk, but I believe in you, Jesse, and I believe that this is what Anoka needs. We need something unique. You can see what I've done with this building, and that's what I want to bring to Anoka. So I am confident that we can come to an agreement and that we can keep 10K here in Anoka for a long time. So Anoka was plan A for our expansion. Now it's time for plan B. I really hope that in the next few months I can announce that new location, and to be honest, this is the best I've felt in the last year since we've started this prospect of expanding 10K. I feel like my input is wanted. I feel like I'm respected. I feel like I'm approaching somebody who's very engaged with their community, engaged with the businesses. And that makes me feel good, and it makes me feel like that's a lot of long-term success for 10K, and that's what's most important. So if you have any questions, feel free to pop it in chat. I'll be in here for like maybe another 5 minutes. Otherwise, you can always email me. It's Jesse, Jesse, at 10kbrew.com. That's 10kbrew.com. Feel free to send me any questions there. I will answer them. I might not get back the same day, but I will get back and I will answer them. That's the beauty of a local business, is that you can engage with the business owner anytime that you like. But I'm excited about this. I'm definitely not giving up on Anoka. I want to see Anoka grow, and I want to be a part of the solution here. But I also want to see 10K grow, and I want to see 10K succeed. So if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. Otherwise, thank you so much for spending your Sunday afternoon hearing about our exciting announcement, and cheers.